At some point, we'll get them the help that they need.
Leader McConnell,
Yeah.
that said, we thought we were going to have something on Ukraine, this international aid package back in the fall. You made it conditional for aid to Ukraine to have this border security piece here. Looking back at how long and how tedious these negotiations are, was that a mistake to marry these two things together?
Well, it's certainly been a challenge to try to reach an agreement on the border. That's why we've been talking about this so long.
Are still waiting for money. The State Revenue Service said that those are eligible who have not received the checks yet should just wait by December 29th to receive the stimulus, if you haven't gotten one already. And it still needs to clear several steps before it becomes law. Last week, the mayor said that he'd revealed the details of the plan to send monthly checks from Missouri to low-income families. The plan calls for using $5 million in federal crisis aid to send $500 to families for 18 months. Now, around 3 million Massachusetts residents are set to receive tax rebates worth around 14% of what they paid in state income taxes. Folks, get ready for stimulus, it's here. I finally have some good news about the Ford stimulus check, and this time it is the truth. There is a ton of information that I want you guys to know about the Ford stimulus payment. A ton of news that you have to cover. The rebates will be sent directly to taxpayers' bank accounts through direct deposit. Otherwise, the rebate will be sent as a check in the mail for those who do not have direct deposit set up. The total received for the rebates is a set of fractions of one paid income tax, meaning higher earners will earn much more than that. A person who makes 35 grand will receive 200, while someone who makes $1 million would receive 7,000. There's plenty of time for people to file a tax return, as the deadline for this rebate is extended through September of next year. Prices rose less than expected, and the latest sign is that the runaway inflation has been gripping the economy even worse. The Labor Department reported again that the Consumer Price Index, which measures a wide basket of goods and services, rose just 0.1% from the previous month and increased 7.1% from a year ago. Economists had already been expecting a 0.3% monthly increase and a 7.3%, 12% monthly rate. So the increase from a year ago, while above the Federal Reserve's target for a healthy inflation level, was tied for the lowest since November. It excludes volatile food and energy prices, and so-called the Core Consumer Price Index rose 0.2% and 6% on an annual basis. Joe Biden celebrated today the positive Consumer Price Index report. He said that it showed inflation is easing in the country ahead of the holiday season. Biden also said we had learned last month that the inflation rate has come down from what many experts expected, in a world where inflation is rising in double digits in many major economies around the world. The easing suggests that the Federal Reserve's interest rate increase could be working as intended, and the Fed may be able to change and achieve the soft landing it wants to achieve, and avoid a large-scale economic shutdown. The report is likely to be reassuring of the Fed and the central bank Jerome Powell when it comes to its meeting on Wednesday. The Fed is expected to only increase interest rates by half point, as opposed to the 3/4 points it has deployed throughout the year. The report marks the 5th month in a row where the rate of inflation has declined in the United States. Biden said, "I want to be clear, it's going to take time to get inflation back to normal levels as you make the transition to a more stable and steady growth."
Social Security Administration, there are more than 334,000 beneficiaries here in Palm Beach County.
Seniors are the most vulnerable because they have no way of making more money.
The complex offers seniors assistance where it can, but the property manager says.
But the credit was instrumental in reducing child poverty rates, and it gave parents some much needed breathing room. Then it disappeared. It went away. Democrats needed continuing this credit a priority last year, but Joe Biden was unable to get it done. He wasn't able to get the stimulus payments sent out when the people needed it most. Because now the Biden administration has released details this week on its plan to overhaul the current income-driven repayment plan, known as the revised Pay-as-you-earn plan. This plan is going to give people stimulus checks. But now, if this bill is approved, Nebraska will join states like New York, Massachusetts, Maryland, Colorado, New Mexico, and even Maine in having a child tax credit, everybody. And this proposal would allow a $1,000 child per credit for families with incomes of up to $75,000. Families making more than that could receive lower credits based on their income. And now one official even said that there is no limitation to the number of children that are covered, and it kind of phases in and out with different income levels. For instance, families making more than that could receive a lower credit based on income, and one state official has even confirmed that there was no limitation to the number of people that are covered, and it kind of phases in and out with different income levels. Conrad also said that the credit would put more money into the people of Nebraska, and it would give them the stimulus checks that pretty much everyone's been asking for. But though many lawmakers across the country have agreed to help the low income financially by expanding this credit, by giving people what they need, by giving people what's needed from the American government. And what's needed from the government is stimulus checks. For instance, the New York governor has already announced a plan to make government work better for the New Yorkers by transforming the way that people access services and benefits. In state agencies, the state will implement significant technological enhancements to reduce the hurdles and improve the child care assistance, and everyone around the United States should begin that stimulus payment. So it's good to see that Joe Biden's doing what he needs to do.
Will be replaced quickly. To apply for assistance from FEMA, you can go online to disasterassistance.gov. Disasterassistance.gov. You can also sign up in person for disaster recovery centers in the coming days.
A bipartisan infrastructure bill. Speaking to reporters after a House caucus meeting, the Budget Committee Chairman, John Yarmuth, said that Speaker Pelosi remained committed to passing a second infrastructure measure, focused on Democrats' broad policy priorities. Biden split his two-part Build Back Better for another round of checks. So a lot of good things are happening in Congress, and a lot of stimulus payments can actually be sent out faster than we ever thought in the history of our lives. So as I was saying, it's official. The governor in several states like Minnesota have actually hoped to include a tax rebate in the state's upcoming budget. It comes from the announcements of the state's budget. It's set to go for January 24. And according to the Associated Press, well, the budget will propose indexing state aid for school districts just to help combat inflation. So Waltz has told reporters that I think people are feeling inflation. Even though it might be cooling a little bit, there's a slight sense of urgency among people to get something done. And that's good here. Something should be done, because the Governor Waltz's original pitch for the tax rebates has been quite generous for a lot of people. It gives single filers, for instance, a lot of breathing room, a lot of time to just think about what they can do, and now the government has already signed them into a second term. So, though not all of these fellow lawmakers share the priorities, though, because the House Speaker and Majority Leader claimed they wanted to prioritize tax credits for families, giving the families $3,000 for every child 5 or younger, with a cap of $7,500. Even the Massachusetts governor and top lawmakers signaled that a clearer picture of potential tax relief may not even emerge until at least the end of January, when a key final metric is actually heard of. So one governor, for instance, said their teams are working closely through numbers and evaluating what's possible. They said that we told reporters how important it is to make sure that we're doing everything we can for the residents of the state. And Healy on the campaign trail had vowed to make progressive permanent tax relief her day one priority. She also had largely echoed support for the now former governor Charlie Baker's sweeping tax cut proposal last year. And low, middle, and income residents have all received some stimulus payments just to stop the crying at least.